Welcome to Beyond the Lyric, where we get to know the story behind some of our area's most gifted songwriters. I'm Debbie Randyn.
And I'm Jerry Falzone. I've had the opportunity in the past year to see our next guest, Lindsay, and his band, the Bootleggers, on quite a few occasions. I've actually played with them at a benefit last June, and I got the opportunity to share a microphone with Brian at his pre-CD release party at the Bayside Inn this past summer. There's a few words that come to mind every time I think about Brian's performances. Stoic, passionate, committed, slightly arrogant. In other words, I believe that Brian is a true rock and roller. When I had the opportunity to sit down and talk to him just a little while ago concerning this interview, something else came up that I saw in his demeanor that I really didn't expect to see. And that's a childlike wonder at what he's capable of doing as a songwriter. Brian loves writing songs, and that really comes across when you have the opportunity to sit down and talk to him about it.
Like Springsteen before him, Brian personalizes the area he grew up in and still lives in, our area, Rochester, New York, and the Finger Lakes. His new CD is named after the Esperanza Mansion, which overlooks Keuka Lake. One of his great songs on the CD is called Somerville, and it's named after a community down on Lake Ontario at the end of St. Paul Boulevard. It's a quaint little community that actually Jerry grew up in, too. Along with using the area he's from, Brian also takes moments from history in songs like Brothers in Arms and Esperanza.
I suppose another word that I would use to describe Brian would be perseverance. From the very earliest stage of his career, Brian decided that if he was going to take the time to go out and perform songs, he was going to write those songs too. From probably when he was quite young, he decided and already thought in terms of wanting to leave a legacy instead of just going out there and playing in bars. That's exactly what he's done. I believe that Brian's commitment to his ideals, to his vision, to his songwriting is something that's going to be able to be an inspiration to area songwriters for years to come.
And now on Beyond the Lyric, Brian Lindsay.
Alrighty, this is a song called Somerville. Goes out to the people who like to spend their summer days down by the water. Baby, take the boulevard down to the shoreline. Let's rendezvous beneath the town sign, and from there we can slip back across the tracks down to the beach. Will you carve my name into the tree? Well, I'll see Somerville. We'll get it right this time in Somerville, and I won't let you down. My love grows stronger still. I'll see you tonight in Somerville. My dreams. Sometimes it hurts like yesterday when we broke it off and I let you slip away. But I found the courage from your love, lost the things I was running from, and all the words I wished I'd said are still ringing inside my head. I'll see in Somerville. We'll get it right this time in Somerville, and I won't let you down, 'cause my love grows stronger still. I'll see you tonight, tonight in Somerville. woman yesterday said she fought it for love of her life. I'll see you tonight in Somerville. We'll get it right this time in Somerville, and I won't let you down. My love grows stronger still. I'll see you tonight, tonight in Somerville. Tonight in Somerville. Tonight in Somerville. Tonight in Somerville. Meet me tonight. Meet me tonight. I'll see you tonight. I'll see you tonight. Somerville.
Hi, Brian. Thanks a lot for playing that song. And yeah, I did grow up there. I love that song.
I'm doing it for you today, Jerry.
Thanks, appreciate it. Brian, you've really held on to your ideals. You are a songwriter. You go out there, you play your songs. Does it ever get frustrating when you're playing for a crowd that might be kind of indifferent to listening to new songs that you're writing?
It does get frustrating sometimes. You know, I don't know if it has something to do with, I think, the area that we live in here. You know, we're not a huge city. You may get a better reception in some of the bigger cities, you know, north of us, like Toronto and, you know, Cleveland and Buffalo. So you kind of expect, you get used to what you may come across. For me, it just makes me want to work harder and make them better songs and really just you know, grab the listener. You know, again, like you talked before, I love doing it. I love songwriting. I love performing my own songs. You know, you just got to have something in you that says just keep going forward. You know, step by step until you know you get where you want to go.
Yeah, that's a great attitude. Let's talk about your songs for a little bit. I find them to be extremely interesting. You seem to have this ability to traverse time in a lot of your songs. One of them in particular that I'm thinking of is a song called Brother in Arms. It's on your new record on Esperanza. What was the inspiration for that song?
Brothers in Arms, yeah. If I could traverse time, we could all three of us traverse back a few years. That would be great, wouldn't it? I don't know. What,
it
back
would.
in our 20s or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Brothers in Arms was, it was almost like an exercise in writing for me. My great-grandfather was a medic in the Civil War, and he kept a journal, and it was passed down through my family, and it ended up at my brother's house, and I guess I didn't really know about it until just a couple of years ago. And I don't know, at some family party or something we were talking, and you know, they said, we got this journal. I'm going, you're kidding me. Can I look at it? And when I was at their house, I got to look at it, and it was all, you know, really kind of tattered and all that. And so they made a copy of it for me and sent it along, and it was just really, really interesting. You know, some of the entries were kind of bland. You know, I woke up and it was sunny and 40 degrees. The next day, you know, was something totally crazy. You know, people were, you know, fighting, and, you know, we were trying to help the men all night, and, you know, just, you know, different stories like that. And what I did is just took the best stories I could, and, you know, I wanted to obviously, you know, get the time period correct, and just tell a story of what I thought he felt like during that time. And then also, with the writer privilege that we have, I kind of put a few things in there to bring it up to date, is maybe like, you know what, this seems like this is happening now, really, too.
Yeah.
It was important for me. There was a line in one of the verses that said something to the fact that, like our last administration said, you know, we already won this fight while it was half over. but really we didn't,
Wasn't,
and it's
right.
not, and it's still going on, and you know, so that was just a little privilege I took to put that in there. But yeah, it's very important, and it worked out. It was one of the easier songs to write for the record, which I thought was, when I first started to write, I thought it was going to be incredibly hard to do that. And I kind of found the voice of the guy, my great grandfather, and it worked out great, and it was a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun to sing that song live.
You can imagine what he would think, you know, if he could hear it.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I know.
It'd be pretty cool.
It would.
I'm just thinking it's not very often that you hear Abraham Lincoln and George Bush in the same sentence.
Yeah, I know. See, but you got it though. So yeah, two polar opposites, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, could be. You grew up in Rochester, but you also spent a good deal of time in summers, I know, on Cuca Lake.
I did.
And when you're talking to me about your song Esperanza, you were talking about, you know, what it was like to grow up and see that mansion up on the hill, and all the stories that you and your friends would make up about it. And then later on, you kind of delved into the history of the mansion itself a little bit more thoroughly, and it inspired you to write that song.
Exactly. You know, there's some irony there or something, but when I was a kid, my parents had a summer home down in Cuca Lake, and every time we went down there, we'd drive right by that mansion. You look up there, and it was kind of cool. At that point in time, I don't think there was anyone living in it, and it was just kind of like all run down, and the lawn was all a mess, and the trees were overgrown, and what we would do is when we were kids, we'd sit around the campfire and all that, and we'd tell stories, we'd trade stories of, anything that was around that area, and try to tell, ghost stories, I guess we call them, right? And, inevitably someone would say, start one about the mansion, and, maybe.
It does look haunted.
It does look haunted, So
not anymore.
Not anymore.
It did look haunted.
It did look haunted. So... you would tell stories, and everyone would tell a different story about it, and years later, after my parents sold the cottage, I went back down there, and I think I was camping at the campgrounds there, and I saw something on the wall. They had the history of Esperanza Mansion. I'm like, oh, cool. And I was waiting to check in. I started reading all these things about it, and the stories that were written shortly on the wall were all better than any stories we ever made up as kids. And the one thing that really struck me, they said it was a stop on the Underground Railroad. Whether it really was or not, I don't know. But
I would think so. I don't think they could put something like that.
I'm not sure, but it just something clicked right there. And when I was putting this record together, and I was really trying to find something that could kind of pull all the songs together. And actually, the word Esperanza comes from the Latin word hope. So, where we're at here with the new administration again and all that, hope is a pretty big was a pretty big word. So I'm thinking, I think I got to go with this. Plus, it's better having a picture of a mansion on the front of my CD than actually probably me on it. So, done there, been there, done that.
I don't know. I think you're a pretty sexy looking guy there, Brian.
All right, can we edit that part out right there?
Yeah, as we mentioned, I grew up in Somerville, and I'm a songwriter, and I grew up in Somerville.
I know, you never wrote a song about Somerville.
I never thought
you
about
could do
it.
the song.
And you did a lot of fun stuff in that neighborhood.
Shh. I'm just wondering, what was it about Somerville? You weren't raised there. You were born in a different part of the city. You were in Penfield, right?
I was in Penfield, yes.
Being raised.
Yes.
What made you look at Somerville as a place to write a song about?
Well, I heard about this guy named Jerry Falzone.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, his last name, no, honestly, my wife grew up in Somerville. Okay, so when we were dating, and you get to learn about where you grew up and all that, and obviously I was a songwriter, and just the name Somerville to me somehow sounds like sounds like a story right off the bat, or it could be like a novel or something.
Yeah,
it just conjured up an image and all that of like a really great place,
Exactly.
That's where I want to live, in Somerville. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's going to be summer all the time. Everything's cool. So
it's still Rochester.
It's still Rochester, but it was just one of those things where I found the title and then I wrote the song after, and it worked out really well, and it turned out to be a pretty good song. So.
Well, your songs really do reflect the area that you live in. I mean, you have songs from your first album that mention the Genesee River, and I mean it's a very cool thing. And this area has its problems. We're struggling economically right now. We have maybe not the greatest weather in the world here, but yet you listen to your songs and they're idealized. It almost makes it seem like kind of a magical place to be living here. Is that something that you consciously went after, or is it something that you subconsciously believe is actually happening here?
Well, I mean, I think you want to make the place where you live, the best place that it can be. We all move forward in our lives, with everyone goes through hard times, obviously. But I think you need to stay on the path of looking forward and being positive. There's a million stories to write about. I try to tie it into, my surroundings, and I do try to look for a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, as they say. When I first started writing songs, again, back to what, you're writing songs, go with what you know.
Yeah.
When I first started writing songs a long time ago, I can't say that they were like that. It might have been more like, breaking up with your girlfriend or something like that, and that's the first thing you feel like you can write about. But as you get older and you kind of looking for other things to write about, you want universal themes, and you kind of want to stay positive somehow in the song, even if it's about something that maybe bad happened to you or to a friend or what have you.
Yeah, and our area really is an amazingly beautiful.
I love our area. I mean,
it's really fantastic. The Finger Lakes and
the Great Lakes. I mean, how great is it to be able to go to Lake Ontario in just a few minutes?
It's like being on an ocean.
Exactly. When you look at the map, of the United States, and here we are right at the tip of Lake Ontario, and we can access that in just a few minutes.
I always thought that
it's awesome.
Growing up, I always thought that everybody had that.
Yeah.
It was normal to have this beautiful, huge lake at the end of your. Your living area.
We are fortunate. I do believe that, and there's a lot of inspiration, and there's a lot of history if you just do a little research. I live in Irondequoit now, and there's a lot of history there that you can write about, and Genesee River. And,
you look. I mean, if you want to go back into history, I mean, it's one of the original colonies. It was instrumental in the Revolutionary War.
Exactly.
It is a great place to live in. It's kind of funny, but you and I, we both know we share some musicians.
Yes,
There's a couple of people that play in your band that play with me at times, and so I've had a chance to talk to your bass player and your drummer quite a bit.
I fired both those guys.
So did I.
They're playing with me now.
Oh no! I was going to say now they're in the cover band or something.
Yeah.
Only kidding, Eric and Greg.
I've talked to them about you quite a few times, and they always.
God, he's a jerk to work with.
Well, besides that part of it,
great hair.
The things that they do say about you, I think are extremely complimentary. He's committed. He's committed to what he's doing. He wants it to be right. He wants. He wants to portray this correctly. He's a rock and roller. That's what they've told me about you.
Wow.
More than anything else, that you're like the prototype rock and roller. You're not fooling around in what you do.
Interesting.
And I think that's a great thing. And I know that some of the people that have inspired you in the past, the other songwriters that are out there, people like Springsteen or Tom Petty, that kind of thing. I know a lot of them will look at rock and roll as a religion almost. What is it to you?
Well, I think like anything that you're doing, you want to do it the best that you can. I mean, you used the word legacy before. That sounds like a really big, heavy word. It was, it's I don't know, if that'll come to fruition or what have you. But I just wanted to have something, when it was all said and done, that actually meant something and felt like something I could hold on to. I don't know if it's a religion or what it is. I guess it is kind of a way of life. Just the fact that we spend different hours and so a lot of late nights out in clubs and such. We spend a lot of time working on our craft. So it may be more of a way of life or something. but it is meaningful, and look at the great people you get to meet. I think that's one of the coolest things. It's kind of a community thing. I mean, every weekend I meet someone, like you guys or whatever, new musicians, and maybe you didn't just happen to come across them whenever, and then you're like, wow, I wish I met them earlier or something, and we could have been friends earlier or something. But it is a community thing, I think, and just kind of a cool. It's just kind of a cool part of my life. It's not my whole life, but it's a huge part of it.
Your new record, Esperanza, it's actually like kind of doing fairly well for you, isn't it?
It's doing good. It's doing good. We've had a lot of fun with this. I worked really hard on this one, and I did struggle a bit with it. The first song that made it on the record was called "King of the Mountain," and it was one of those songs. Back to like your intro again too, where it was like I probably wrote that song in 15 minutes. And it was just one of those things where it just came out. It was just a lucky thing, It's like I've heard other musicians and writers say, it just fell out of the sky and into your lap. Well, that's kind of how it did happen. The other 9 and 10 were brutal.
That's
it really beat me up. But again, it is doing really well. I've had the song "King of the Mountains" was the #1 song on a radio station in Virginia for 2 weeks straight. It was the top song there, and that was really cool. Yes. Seeing when they send you the playlist and you see all these people's names behind me, that were like very inspirational to me, and just the high rollers in the business. It was pretty cool. 2 weeks straight, 2 in a row. So #1 record. That was really cool. And
that's wonderful.
Yeah. So we're going on and we're moving forward. We've got a lot of shows coming up, and we're just going to promote it and have fun. And
what's on the horizon for you? What's next?
Write, record, do another record. I'm already starting working on the new record. I had a rehearsal on Thursday and with our buddies, and I brought a new song in, and that came together really quick. So I'm happy on that. I'm not going to wait to let so much time pass before I start working on it.
Yeah.
Kind of got to stay right in it. You got to stay in it
so.
and keep that feeling alive, and it's part of it.
I know that in the somewhat near future, you and I have a couple of things that we're going to be doing together. So
absolutely,
we're going to bring both bands together, do a couple of jobs here and there, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
Looking forward to getting to know you a lot better in the future too.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, Brian. Appreciate it.
You
got
Jerry.
another song.
Debbie, thank you so much. It's great to meet you.
Thank you for coming.
We've got another song to do. We're looking forward to hearing it.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mansion that overlooks Crooked Lake was a stop on Freedom's Road. A distant guiding light said passing away. Another link in a chain up the hill to Esperanza on the Underground Railroad. Waves freedom, waves freedom. Lord, loosen these chains around me. Whoa, whoa. Now some folks open hearts and did right. Others just turn and look away. Some risk reputation, some sacrificed. Some paid their ultimate price. Up the hill to Esperanza, along the Underground Railroad. Waves freedom, waves freedom. Lord, loosen these chains round me. Oh, oh, oh. When we were kids, we'd spend summer days riding our bikes to the top of the hill, trading old folk tales about the people who've stayed in the mansion that overlooks Crooked Lake. Tonight there's a celebration of love, and the rose wine flows free, and the angels and ghosts roam these old halls, remind us of freedom's cost. Up the hill to Esperanza, along the underground railroad, waits freedom, waits freedom. Lord, loosen these chains round me. Oh, freedom, waits freedom, waits freedom. Lord, loosen these chains round me. Lord, loosen these chains round me. Lord, loosen these chains round me. Oh, 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 oh.
Thanks again for joining us today on Beyond the Lyric.
Don't forget that if you want to find out any more information on any of the guests that we've had on this show, including Brian Lindsay today, all you have to do is just go to our website, beyondthelyric.com. You can go to the archive section that will give you some clips for the show, a little bit more information on the artists, and you'll also be able to find links to their websites also. Thank you very, very much for joining us tonight. We've had a great time with Brian and with all of you. We'll see you next time.
Otis, get on that desk.